Camera, say hello. Let us see those beautiful faces. Mm. Happy New Year, Hals.
Thank you.
DJ Hallie Agostinelli. All right, here we go. Let's see, we've got some people in the waiting room. I got that done. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm so glad you guys are here. And I don't know about you. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a disclaimer right now. My brain is like all over the place, like a squirrel on cocaine. So I'm going to do my best to stay on point. Yes, you too, Maria. Oh, hey guys, if you I would just like to invite you to come on camera, join me and Hallie and Maria. I see her lovely face. Am I missing anybody? Who else is on camera?
Renee and Charmalia.
Okay, hold on. I need to change there we go. Hello. Hello. Good to see you guys. For some reason, my screen's not showing up the same way. I think my settings changed while I was on break. So, okay. Well, what are we doing today? We are kicking off a 4-week series called Fix the Leaks. And these are going to be the hidden places in your business where you are quietly losing time and money. What we're doing is we're talking about unpaid labor. Next week, we're talking about scope and decision drift. The next week, we're talking about weak boundaries and systems. And then the 4th week of this month, we're talking about underpricing. So working harder is not going to fix your leaks. So by the end of today, we're going to make some good progress today. And then by the end of the 4 weeks, you're going to see where your business is leaking profit and where it's leaking energy. And each week we're going to patch at least one. Each week we're going to patch the leak. Okay. It's not about doing more. It's about stopping the unnecessary loss. So before we get started, I kind of want to go into we're changing direction a little bit from our previous Cooking Up Success sessions. We're doing more of a workshop series. So what this is, it's not about hustling harder. It's not about setting bigger goals or pushing yourself to do more. The series that we are kicking off is about fixing these leaks. So over the next few sessions, we're not actually chasing growth. We are stabilizing the foundation, because what happens is when the business is steady, growth becomes sustainable instead of exhausting. And I can tell you that from experience. So my role in these series in this month in January, it's not to overwhelm you or give you more things to manage. My role is to help you see exactly what's happening in your business and show you how to build systems that support you instead of relying on willpower. Okay. As we go into the first of the year, we're all talking about here's our goals and here's our resolutions. And it's like, 3rd week of the month, it's like, the gyms are empty again. So today we're going to start by fixing one leak. But before we get started, for those of you who are new here, I'm Michelle. Michelle Lynn. I'm an interior designer, a business owner, an educator. And for the last several years, I've worked with designers at all stages of business, from those just getting started, like brand new, out of school, maybe still in school, to those who have been running full established firms, but who were not making the profit or keeping the passion alive. So I don't teach theory. If you're new around here, I teach what works in real freaking life. It's real client work, real projects, and real business. So this series actually comes directly from what I see over and over again behind the scenes. Okay. And also in my own design firm, ML Interiors Group. These are talented designers doing great work. but carrying more than they should because the business hasn't been structured to protect them. Okay. So we have a worksheet for you. Hallie has dropped it in the chat. So we are working today on unpaid labor. This is work that you're doing and you're not getting paid for. Okay, so everybody grab that worksheet because this isn't theory. We're going to get some shit done today.
Yeah, but I want to add real quick. Michelle's done her Cooking Up Success series for 5 years now, and they were always bite-sized. I know, Michelle. They're always bite-sized things that you could just like learn and listen and go, "Oh yeah, that's great." And we're kind of over that. We are on information overload. It's like no, we don't need to give you bite-sized pieces. What we want to bring to you now is something that you could attend this workshop and implement immediately and have it improve your business. So these aren't things like you go, oh, I'm going to stock that away for next year's project, or oh, that's a great idea. Like these are actual tangible things that we're wanting to adjust our workshops to that. So if you've
Thanks,
been with
Hallie.
us
That's so true.
before, these are less like, oh, that's a great thing for me to work on later. These are like, come with your pen and pencil and a worksheet, and we're gonna have you take some action, literally on the call.
Literally, yes. Yay. And I'm glad that Renee's been through a couple other workshops. Your work status is changing, so it's good timing. Well, we are here for you guys. But just like with our interior design business, the market has changed. Same thing. You know what? My market as a business coach is changing. And so I've listened to what you guys are looking for. And that's like, Michelle, don't just tell me what to do. Like, show me how to freaking do it. Okay. So that's what we're doing. Um, so maybe that's what we should call it, Hallie. Show me what to freaking do. Don't just tell me, but show me. So that's what we're doing. So we're gonna we're with that, like we're kicking off this series this month by fixing the leaks. Again, like we just said, we're not setting goals. Okay. And I want to pause on that for just a second because most of the time when we gather like this, when we've been in our sessions, the conversation immediately goes to more. Like I'm guilty of that. That's my driver is like I want more, 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 more. I want it all. Uh, Funny story, and then I'll get to work. I have Studio Works, which is a co-working space here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and I have this neon sign back in our resource room, and it says I want it all. Well, I was going through, we moved into our house that we're in now about a year and a half ago. And I was going through some boxes that my mom had brought and dropped off. And I found this little bear and it had the sign that said, I want it all. So I'm like, you know what? I have consistently been like this, at least through high school, because the shit she brought me was from like the 80s. So anyway, we're not aiming for more right now. We're not aiming for more clients. We're not aiming for more visibility. We're not aiming for more revenue or more growth. Okay. I know that's a weird way to start off a conversation with you guys. But here's the thing is that goals don't work if the business is quietly draining you. If it's draining your bank account, okay? Goals do not work if the business is quietly draining you. If the foundation has cracks, stacking, I mean, think about it. If the foundation has cracks, stacking more on top just makes everything heavier. And one of the biggest drains that I see for designers at every level in every market is unpaid labor. And it's not because we're doing something wrong, but it's because unpaid labor is like a ninja. It's sneaky. Okay. It doesn't show up as like one big obvious problem. But what happens is it shows up in dozens of small, seemingly reasonable moments that feel fine at that time until they're not. And so we'll get into some more detail, but I want to say this so that you can actually hear the rest of today's conversation without going into a self-blame mode. Because the fastest way to shut down today's content or next week's content or the week after that is to turn this into a personal failure story. Okay. Because unpaid labor, specifically for today, unpaid labor is not about being too nice. It's not being bad at boundaries. It's not about you being firm enough. Because most of the designers that I work with are thoughtful, professional, like very capable people who care deeply about their clients and their work. And that's part of why unpaid labor shows up, because most of the time, unpaid labor is simply the result of something missing. Okay. It could be a missing decision, it could be a missing rule, it could be a missing system. It's generally, let's say, the absence of clarity. Okay. It's not a lack of confidence. What I've seen and what I've experienced is that when there's not a clear stopping point, the work expands. So if the expectations are not named, like if they're not spelled out, assumptions are going to fill that gap. So when there's not a clear stopping point, you just keep going. The work expands. And so if you have something that only lives in your head, what happens is it gets renegotiated in real time. It's not about bad clients. It's not about gray areas. No, it is about gray areas. It's not about bad clients. It is about gray areas, because gray areas is where the unpaid labor thrives. So today, we're not fixing your entire business. We're not rewriting your contracts. We're not tackling every pain point you've ever had. We're fixing this one thing. Okay. Because one clear decision can change how a project feels almost immediately. And here's what happens when we stack those decisions over time. Okay. The business is going to stop leaking this unpaid labor and it starts feeling a whole lot steadier. So, when people think about unpaid labor, they usually imagine something dramatic. Okay. Or at least this has been my experience, or when I'm reading the Facebook forum posts and stuff like that, when I'm talking to my one on one coaching clients, they think it's going to be a client crossing a big line. Okay. Or a client asking for something outrageous, the kind of request that you immediately know, oh, no, that's not okay. Okay. But here's the thing, that's not how unpaid labor shows up. Okay. Because if it did, it would be a lot easier to spot, and then it would be a lot easier to stop. But unpaid labor, I was just talking about this with my team yesterday in our meeting at ML Interiors Group. It's these little small accommodations that add up. Okay. And these accommodations, they kind of sound reasonable when they happen. It could be extra revisions, okay, that were never clearly defined up front. So maybe you didn't talk about how many rounds of revisions were included. Okay. Or maybe you said it once and then you just assumed that the client understood. And we did this, we did this a long time. I'll tell you, I laugh, and I'm grateful for all of the mistakes that I made, because now I can, lay the path out before you guys. Here's what we used to do. Like the first revision came in and we handled it right. Then the second one came in, and then the third. And then at no point, nobody feels like they're crossing a line, because there never was a line. But you're feeling this inside and you're like, shit, when is this going to stop? What's the next revision going to be? This is costing me money. So you know this. Okay. Or maybe there's feedback. Okay. So let's talk about extra revisions. That's one sneaky little ninja. Feedback coming in pieces. Okay. It's like one email today. Oh, well, what about this? What about that? And then there's a text tomorrow. And then another thought the next week. Okay. Each message from your client is short. Each one is like, okay, well, I can respond to that. So here you are, and it's just a quick response. But here's what happens is that you're consistently interrupted from a client, okay? And you think it's helpful because they're giving you feedback. But what you have to do is you have to go back and you have to reopen a file. You have to go back and revisit that decision. Okay, that had already felt settled. And so it's like, okay, here's the feedback I was getting, and it was like a clear round, but it's like this slow drip, a slow drip. Does this sound like, do either of these things, does this sound familiar to you guys? I mean, drop it in the chat, whether it's extra revisions that are eating up your time, feedback coming in pieces. I never thought about the feedback coming in pieces until we had this one client who it was like, it took like 4 weeks to get through these decisions. Yes, thank you, Allah. And then here's the thing. And then, like, let's just compound those two. Endless emails, right? Yes, Maria. Hey, girl, good to see you. Literally, I got your face here. Going back through emails takes time. And so here's the thing is that it's like the client approved it. Yeah, I like that couch. Okay. And you move forward and then they change their mind. Oh no, it's just no, my husband doesn't like the arms. Okay. And it's not because they're being difficult, but because living with the decision is different than seeing it on paper. Endless texting. Yes, I get it. And so, but here's the thing, it feels easier to just handle it than to pause and to like get a hold of the client. Okay, so what do? You resource, you adjust, and you absorb the time. Right? Because it's just. Okay, that's a red flag when you say it's just. In fact, Juliana, my senior designer, my principal designer at ML Interiors Group, we were talking with a client on a meet and greet, and they kept saying, "Oh yeah, it's just flooring. Oh yeah, it's just this. It's just that." And we hung up, and she goes, "You know what, Michelle? The word 'just' is a red flag. So it's not just when somebody says it to you, but it's also when you justify, get it, justify something yourself. When you say, "Oh, it's just this one time." Okay, so being available all the time to reply to their slow ass decision making, to reply to their revisions. Okay, it feels more efficient than dealing with the discomfort later. Okay. So drop a yes in the chat if at least one of these made you think, "Oh, yes, that's me." Or if it gave you anxiety. Okay. Does this feel familiar? Allah had a triple yes. Yes. Yep. Well, this, y'all, this is why unpaid labor is so easy to miss. And Eileen, thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying people pleaser is not good. Again, this is not necessarily just about people pleasing. Okay. Because none of these are extreme. But what it goes back to is not having, now, you would be people pleasing if you have systems in place to prevent these and you broke your systems. I'm going to guess that most of you here don't have the systems or the processes or the boundaries, the guidelines built into your business to navigate this. Okay, because here's what we think is that being available all the time, because answering quickly feels more efficient than dealing with discomfort, is because if you don't respond now, it feels like it's going to turn into a bigger conversation or a longer explanation or an awkward moment. Right? It's like, oh shit, if I don't respond now, or if I don't say yes, there's going to be these consequences. So what I used to do, and what, the designers that I work with, until we get into our time together, okay, we'll answer at night or on the weekends or in between other work. And again, each of these moments feels harmless on its own, right? It's just like this little trickle. So we're not, it's not making the alarm bells go off. There's no big red flags, and it doesn't feel like a big boundary violation. But here's what happens is that together, like these things, they stretch projects. They take something that should be a 3-month design and makes it 6 months. It eats your time. Okay. It pulls focus from your other clients. And it drains profit in ways that are really hard to track. And the trickiest part, the trickiest part is that most of this just feels like you're doing your job, right? It feels like you're being helpful. It feels like good service. It feels like professionalism. And this is why so many designers don't realize how much unpaid labor they're actually carrying until they're exhausted, behind schedule, and probably a little bit resentful. So that's what we're here to start untangling. So let's check in on the worksheet, okay? Check there's a section that says where unpaid labor shows up. This is where we're doing some work, okay? And we're not grading it. There's no pass or fail, but check all that apply in your business. Okay. Extra revisions not defined in advance. If you don't have a process for that, thank you, Hallie. Top of page 2 in the worksheet. Check it. If feedback comes in bits and pieces, check that. If you resource after decisions were made, check it. Endless emails or texts, doing work before approvals are final, or even, I say this in air quotes, quick questions that turn into real work. So this is where we're going to slow things down. Before we talk about fixing anything, we need to understand what's actually been happening. And I want to be clear about what I'm not asking you to do here. Okay. And this, for those of you who've been around for a little while, this might feel a little, we've like, as Hallie said, we're changing to meet you where you are. Okay. So I'm not asking you to audit your entire business or to list every mistake you've ever made. I'm definitely not asking you to think about your worst project ever. But what I'm asking you to do is to think about the last project that felt heavy. You know what I mean by heavy? It's like you go into this project and you think this is going to be great, and it just feels heavier than expected. Now, it wasn't disastrous, it wasn't a train wreck, it was just heavier. Okay, think about that. The kind of project where you found yourself thinking, why does this feel like so much more work than it should be? I'm reading Ella's note. In purchasing stage, client asks, how much will I charge for purchasing 70 items? Fun for custom furniture. You gave them a price discounted 7,000, includes purchasing, managing 70 orders. Some of them have shipped
I was
out.
just going to type in there that we're not
Yeah.
really covering that today,
Yeah.
but feel free to pop that. You can copy and paste that into the Facebook group and get some feedback there from the larger community. We have a pricing workshop coming up. I
Oh
can
yeah.
also send you information on if you want that. So let me know. Let me know in the chat if that's what you want.
Yeah. Thank you, House. I
Uh-huh.
was going down a bunny trail. Um, so let's come back to this, you guys. Come back to that project that feels heavy. Okay. Picture that project. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to share in just a minute. Okay. So I'm going to ask for your participation. There's zero judgment. Y'all, I hope you know this is a zero judgment zone, but you do have to show up in order to make the transformation. So here's the important part. Instead of replaying everything that went wrong, I want you to notice where the weight came from. Okay. Where did the weight come from on this project? It, it, it just felt heavier. You knew that there was something off. That little birdie in your gut, that little instinct. For most designers, it's not the design work. Okay. It's not the creativity or the vision, but it somehow it like wraps itself around it, this heaviness. So where does the unpaid work show up most often for you? Because everybody here is going to have different areas where their unpaid work shows up more than others. Okay. Where did the work sneak in? Even though you're technically doing your job, you're being responsive, you're being professional, you're being helpful. Again, this is why it's so confusing. Did you feel like the work was never quite finished? Like you would go to bed and you'd think something was done and you'd wake up the next day and there was just one more tweak or one more adjustment? Okay, was it communication? Answering messages constantly across multiple platforms? Like you're getting texts, you're getting emails. It's like maybe you're getting smoke signals. Okay. And you just want this to move things forward. Revisiting decisions that were settled, finding alternatives that after approvals were already given. Like, what else is there? What else is there? Oh, so each of you are going to have different labor leaks. Each of you will have one place where unpaid labor shows up again and again. It's your pattern. Like we all have it. I know where mine is in my design firm. It's my onboarding. It's my entry. Okay, so here's the quick check-in. Drop a letter in the chat. Okay. If your labor leak is revisions, drop an R. If your labor leak, if and this is like I said, there's no judgment and there's no test here. Okay. A C for communication, an S for sourcing, an A for availability. Thank you. Hallie just dropped them in there. We have a C, we have an A, we have an R. Oh, we have a car. An R and a C. Good. C, A. Okay, good. We've got the same few letters. Doesn't look like there no S's so far. C-A-R, C-A-R. So lots of C's. Communication, communication. Hey, Pearl, good to see you, honey. C, okay. Y'all, this isn't coincidence. Okay. This is what unpaid labor actually looks like. It's shared, it's predictable, and it's quietly exhausting. So so I know this is like a really uplifting conversation, isn't it? But I want you to go a layer deeper. Okay. Think about what you're telling yourself in these moments. Okay. So we've got a lot of C's. We have a couple of A's and we have a couple of R's. But what were you telling yourself in these moments? Maybe it's just faster if I just handle it. Or I don't want to make this a thing. Like, I don't want to make this a thing. I'll fix it later. Okay. Now, these thoughts are important because they're not weaknesses. Okay. So, going back to the people pleasing comment, excuse me, because we all kind of assign that. And I've been guilty myself of assigning people pleasing. But what I figured out is that that's not a weakness, it's a signal. They point to places where a decision was never made. Okay. We're not fixing it right now. We're naming it right now. Because once you see the pattern, the next step becomes obvious. Okay. You're not going to need to overhaul your business. You need a system that protects you in the exact place that you keep leaking. I'm cracking up saying that because I'm talking to a bunch of women and I'm of a certain age where I where that has a double entendre. Okay, so here's what we want to do. And Hallie said if you want to there's a place in your worksheet if you want to pick out your primary leak with these and other places where leaks can show up. Okay. Unpaid labor isn't happening because you're careless. It's not happening because you're weak, and it's definitely not happening because you don't care enough. Unpaid labor is a symptom. I said that a minute ago. It's a symptom of a missing decision because every time unpaid work shows up, it's pointing to a place where something was never fully decided. Okay. And what that means in real life is that if revisions feel endless, it's usually not because your client's being unreasonable. It's because there was no stopping point. There was no clear definition of how many rounds were included. There's no moment when the work officially moved from in progress to approved. Does that make sense? Because without a stopping point, the revisions will never end. They just keep drifting. It's kind of like if you try to brake your car when you're driving on ice, you just kind of drift. There's no stopping point. Okay. Now, since communication, C was a big one, let's dive into that a little bit more. Because if communication feels constant, emails, texts, DMs, calls, smoke signals, mind reading, post-it notes left on your front door. That's just kidding. But it's not because your client's demanding. It's because the expectations were never set. There was no clarity around how often you communicate, no structure for where the feedback like lives, and there's not a rhythm to the project. So what happens, and also another one, is that you are not leading the client. What I tell my team at ML Interiors Group is if the client has to reach out and ask you a question about what's next, you have missed the boat in leading. Okay, so what happens is that communication fills every open space. Does that sound familiar? The feeling of unfinished business. Yes, it doesn't allow you to rest. And y'all, you know what? Like taking this a little bit deeper, you know what that does to our nervous system? It really jacks our nervous systems up. Okay, so the sourcing, I don't think anybody really had much on the sourcing, but if you're resourcing after decisions were already made, it's because there was no real approval. Okay, the client said yes, but nothing officially changed. Okay, so decisions are soft. Soft decisions get revisited. They start over communicating, and it's this ending cycle. So if you don't decide how something works, who's going to do that for you? Your client. Your client will decide for you. And it's not out of entitlement or disrespect or them being an asshole. Okay. It's just about assumption because maybe they're trying to move things along. Because, like, there's so many times I'm reading, again, going back to those Facebook forums, and it's not just in mine, but it's in, a lot of the groups. that the clients are the clients are like they're making decisions. They're kind of leading the project. They're taking things, off the tracks. But when something isn't clearly defined, people are going to fill in the gap with what feels reasonable to them. Like they don't know what's reasonable in your business. So yeah, that's what happens is the tail starts to wag the dog. So I want to say this very clearly. Okay, this is not about bad clients. It's not about weaknesses on your part. It's about unclear systems. So most designers were never taught how to make these decisions up front, right? You're good at designing. And here's the thing. In my opinion, especially in our industry, but especially as women, okay, this might be a little controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like we were taught to be flexible. We are taught to be accommodating. We are taught to keep things moving. Like, come on, that's great as you're raising your children. And flexibility is a strength, absolutely, until it replaces structure. Like, I can be flexible with my 7-year-old, but the minute she tries to, I don't know, stick her hand in the garbage disposal and turn it on, well, you know what? That's when I need structure. Okay, because flexibility without structure, what does that do? It creates this expansion. It's like things start to get out of control. My 7-year-old would go off she'd go wheels off and she'd be eating sugar. She'd be running around like a maniac. The house would be a mess. Think about it that way. For those of you who have raised children, your business is the same. Okay, because flexibility without structure creates this expansion. It's like this craziness. And what happens is this expansion or craziness or whatever without protection, that's what creates this unpaid labor. So here's the shift that I want you to hear. You don't have to fix unpaid labor by trying harder. Yay. Okay. You don't have to fix it by being more available. Double yay. Okay. You don't have to fix it by having better intentions. What you do is you fix it by deciding earlier. Okay. Where do things stop? How communication works, when a decision becomes final, and so forth. Like this is what you do in your business. But this is the part that most designers miss. All right. These decisions cannot live only in your head. Okay. In my head, coming out of the holidays, in my head, I was going to stop drinking as much wine as I was drinking over the holidays, eating as much sugar as I was eating over the holiday, hell, eating as much of everything over the holidays, right? Okay. Well, I had to get them out of my head. You know what? I actually told Hallie, it's like, I'm going to stop drinking wine this month. That's out of my head. And a couple days ago, I was like, oh, a glass of wine would be so good. I mean, like, what else? Like, what else do I drink with what I'm eating? Like pizza or pasta or something? Like wine goes with it perfectly, right? And I was like, nope, told Hallie I wasn't going to do it. Okay. So these decisions cannot live only in your head because when the rules live in your head, they get really negotiated in real time. Like that pasta that we had with red sauce. I mean, of course, a glass of wine would have gotten great with that. And I was about to renegotiate. Okay. But when rules live in systems, the pressure comes off of you. Okay. So let's bring this back to business and not just pasta and wine because now I'm getting hungry. But this is why two designers can offer the same services, right? Okay. And one feels constantly behind, like in the weeds all the time, like, oh, okay. Well, the other one's just like, yeah, I got this. They're in control. It's not talent. It's not experience. It's not personality. It's not strength. It's not weaknesses. It's decisions that are installed into your business as systems. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Okay. Because once the missing decision is named, the real work is building the structure that supports it. So, are you guys ready to patch that leak? You ready? We get to the part. This is the fun part because this does not this patching the leak. It does not require a massive overhaul. You don't have to rewrite your entire contract tonight. Okay. Or you don't have to all of a sudden become like a general in the military, like rigid and confrontational. Okay. It's like one clear rule. One rule. That's it. You have to clearly decide this rule, and it can change how a project feels almost instantly. Okay. And I want to say before we go any further, because perfectionism loves to sneak in here, that your fix does not have to be perfect. Got that? Your fix does not have to be perfect, but it needs to be clear. So we're going to keep this simple. Okay. In the, I need you guys to agree with me. I don't need you to agree with me. But actually, I would like you to agree with me, but I don't need you to. But in the chat, can you agree that you accept that your fix does not need to be perfect? It just needs to be clear. So can you do that? Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Good, good, good. Okay. So we're going to keep this simple. Based on what you named earlier, okay, C, A, R, or S, I want you to choose one of these areas to work on right now. Not all of them, not all of them. Yes, does not have to be perfect, but clear. Choose one area. Okay. Let's walk through these again. Revisions. Okay. So if revisions is where you're big, the R, okay, a couple of you guys had an R. If revisions is where your unpaid labor leaks the most, okay, the most, we're talking about you're choosing one today. Okay. Thank you. Page 4. If revisions are where your unpaid labor leaks the most, your rule might be a revision limit. Not because your clients shouldn't have input, not because you don't care, but because work needs a stopping point. So a rule might sound like this: X rounds of revisions are included. Additional revisions are billed separately. Okay, that's not harsh. It's clear. Okay, for those, a lot of you guys, communication. Communication is where you feel like you have your labor leaks. And if this is where things start to feel heavy, you might just have a weekly update cadence. Okay, one place, one rhythm, and one container. It's pretty straightforward. So instead of constant availability, instead of responding in 5 different places, it's not about being less responsive. It's about being more efficient and more effective. Maybe it's a Wednesday weekly update. Maybe it's a Friday follow-up. Okay. 3, third one, approvals. Okay, actually, I want to go back to the communication real fast. A weekly update cadence, again, it goes back into a rhythm. The client is going to understand exactly when they can expect it. Think about those crappy ass songs that Hallie was playing earlier. Okay, they had a rhythm. You knew what to expect. You knew what the next downbeat was going to be. Okay, it's the same thing with the client. Yeah, Hallie, you know I love you, just not always the music. You paid $1 zillion. For those of you guys who've been around, this is an ongoing thing between Hallie and I. It's a lot of fun. Okay, back to work. So it's the rhythm. Now let's talk about approvals. Okay, if approvals are where you guys have like sourcing or decision changes, is where your labor leak is. Your rule might be requiring written approval before the work continues. Okay, because like decisions aren't real until they're documented. Undocumented decisions can get revisited. They can also be remembered differently. Okay, I can remember that Maria approved this particular floor plan, and then Maria, just playing with you, Maria, comes back to me 2 weeks later. I didn't approve. I didn't agree to that. Like I wanted a sectional. Okay, so who's right? Okay. So now I want you guys to pause for just a second. Which one of these feels like it would give you the most relief? Because that's the rule you're choosing. Okay. But here's where a lot of designers stop and where unpaid labor comes right back. But you decide the rule, but you don't decide how it lives. Okay. So I want you to decide three things. What is changing? Where does this rule live? And when does it start? So, for example, does it live in your contract? Does it live in your welcome guide, your proposal, your onboarding email? Okay. So, what's changing? Where does it live? When does it start? Not someday, babe, not someday. Not after you clean it up. Not after you make it perfect. It's now. Now, 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 now. Because clarity delayed is clarity denied. Okay. And here I want you to pay a little attention here. Who feels a little bit of relief just thinking about this rule? Hmm? Drop it in the chat. Who feels a little relief just thinking about this rule? And it's not because the rule's magical. Okay. It's because that nervous system wants structure, wants predictability. And oh my God, it just wants to stop renegotiating everything in real time. Speaking of my 7-year-old, let's negotiate, Mom. I don't negotiate with terrorists. I mean, toddlers. Popping some of this in here for you to copy. Awesome. Thank you, Hallie. Okay. Rules that only live in your head rely on you remembering, explaining, and enforcing them every single time. It's exhausting. But rules that live in systems do the work for you. Now, this is exactly the work that we do in the next set in our next segment. Okay. We're not just choosing rules, we're installing them so they actually protect you. Okay. So for today, your job is simple. Choose one rule, decide where it lives, decide when it starts. One clear rule changes everything. One rule, where does it live? When does it start? Y'all, once you feel what that clarity does, you'll never want to go back to guessing again. I can guarantee you that. So before we wrap up, there's one more piece that makes everything that we've talked about today actually work, and that's the language. Okay, because the best rule doesn't protect you if you freeze when it's time to say it. Most breakdowns don't happen because the rule was wrong. They happen because the language, the delivery was not ready. So we're going to take these decisions that you just made, that one clear rule, and turn it into something that you can actually use. Okay, you ready? I want you to take that one rule, the rule that you chose, and write one client-facing sentence that explains it. Not a paragraph, not a policy, one sentence that you could actually say or send. Don't overthink it. Hallie and I were talking about this yesterday. Clear beats clever. So here's a couple of examples. To keep your project moving smoothly, we collect all feedback at once and move forward after approval. Revisions beyond the included rounds are billed separately so that we stay aligned on scope. And then finally, once selections are approved, additional sourcing is treated as a new request. So y'all, it's not about being rigid. Come up with something that sounds like you. Okay. These are terms that I've used. Okay. But it needs to feel authentic to you. Clear language is going to give you something to stand on. It turns a decision into something that you don't have to justify, explain, or emotionally manage. Okay. So in your worksheet on page 5, I want you to go back and do that when we're done here. Okay. And I really want to normalize something because you're going to write this sentence and you're going to think, "Oh my gosh, where do I put this? When do I say it? What happens if they push back?" And just know that that's normal. That feeling that you're going to have is normal. But because language only works when it's supported by structure. Okay. And remember, today we're not solving all of it, but we've noticed it. So this week, we're fixing one leak. Over the next few weeks, we're going to keep stacking these fixes so the business starts to feel steadier. Okay. And by the end of this month, okay, by the end of these four sessions, you're going to be able to clearly see what needs a system instead of another workaround. Okay. Or instead of dealing with it yet again. So before we wrap up, I want to pause for just a second and name what you just did today. Okay. You didn't just learn about unpaid labor, you made a decision. You identified a leak, you chose a fix, and you decided how you're going to handle it moving forward, right? That puts you ahead of most designers. Hell, that puts you ahead of most small business owners, most entrepreneurs. We just kind of keep taking the hits and roll with it. But here's the thing that I want to be honest about. Unpaid labor is it's not the only leak. I mean, we've got at least 3 more that we're going to talk about together. Because but also once you fix this one, like you usually start noticing other leaks. Scope creep, boundaries breaking down, pricing not matching the responsibility you're carrying. Just like, and that's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because your business doesn't have the systems holding these decisions in place. Okay. You need this, you need a cabinet to put all of these decisions in and keep them in one place so that you can find them and use them consistently. So most designers try to solve this by being more disciplined, more firm, more on top of things, right? Like we should be able to do this. Y'all, discipline doesn't scale and willpower just wears the hell out. So you need to have clear business systems, the kind that you don't need to think about on every project. So that's why we've created this key ingredients live. Okay. It's a working kitchen, basically, is what we do. And I want to invite you on February 3rd. We're going to spend 4 months together building your core business systems live together. Okay. We're not just learning them. I'm giving you that cabinet. I'm giving you, and you're implementing these business systems. Okay. There are 2 calls every week. There's one focused training call where I teach the system like today, but we're going like deeper. I teach the actual system. And then we have another call where we implement it together in real time. It's like a co-working call. So remember when we were younger, like think for me, it's like think way back and you like, hey, Dawn, you want to come over and do homework together? Like, let's do our homework together. Let's have some fun. Okay. We implement it together in real time. It's where the decisions like the ones that you made today. Okay. They're contracts, they're processes, they're templates, they're workflows that you don't have to keep reinventing. Okay. So what we did today, it's identifying a leak and patching it. It's the first step. Okay. I'll give you the actual assets. We take the decisions that you made today and I show you exactly where it lives in your contract. How I give you the contract, where it shows up in your client process. I give you the client process. It's not a franchise. You can alter it. Okay. But what templates support these decisions? What templates is the process so that it never becomes a problem again? So if you don't want to start from a blank page, and if you don't want to guess how to word it, and you don't have to reinvent it for every project, okay, we're going to build the kitchen. It's a working kitchen that prevents them. The systems are already in place. So You get lifetime access to the full key ingredients content. Okay. It's not a course, it's content. It's like, here, here's your business foundation. Here are your business systems. Okay. That way you don't have to race through it. You don't have to go back and erase things and redo it. You can continue up leveling based on the foundations. Okay. Setting up your business that actually supports you. Okay. And this is long term. This is not a quick fix. So if, as we've been working together today, you've had that thought of, oh, I don't want to keep figuring this out alone. Like if you were just like copying and pasting Hallie's notes, that's what I'm offering you. Okay. The key ingredients live is built for you. You'll get exactly everything. And it's not just here, like you have them. You can download the templates, you can put your branding on it. Okay. You don't have to decide today. Okay. But I want you to know where this work leads if you're ready for support implementing it. So technically, I'm inviting you guys early. I'm opening the doors on Monday. I think it's Monday in a couple days, 5 days, 6 days. So we will have some information coming to you via email, but I wanted to offer you guys, since you're here today, if you want to sign up before we open the doors, we're going to give you a bundle of goodies as an early bird sign up. So if you want to sign up today, tomorrow, the next couple of days, let me tell you what we've got. I've got this master coach bundle. So for those of you who are familiar with my interior design business bakery, a couple years ago, I had so many sessions from master coaches that were specializing in mindset, in marketing, in branding, in financials. What I've done is I took them out of the bakery because that was just it was just too big. It was like taking a drink from a fire hose. And I actually have them for sale on my website now. Okay. But if you want to sign up before we open the doors officially to the key ingredients live, I'll give you that. Okay. There's like 70 sessions. Most of them have slide decks. I have a business by design planner. Oh, shoot. Should I have mine? Mine's out in my dining room. But if you want a new planner going into the new year, I created this planner because I couldn't find one that I liked. Okay. Um, I use it. It's out in the dining room. And you can have a one-on-one 30-minute session with Dee Dee, who's one of my master coaches. She specializes in kitchens and baths. You can talk to her about design. You can talk to her about her business. Or Hallie, who is, I mean, I'll tell you, her specialty is marketing. She kicks ass in that area, but she's been with me in my business for the last 5 years. And so she's fabulous. Okay. If you're interested, just email Hallie. She'll get you the details. But either way, I want you to leave today knowing this, and we're going to wrap up right on time, that you are not behind. Okay. Your business and you don't need fixing. Okay. You need structure. You need structure. And you just took the first step. You just took the first step with me today. So thank you so much for being here. I really hope that the worksheet gives you a foundation to review. Make sure that you write out your sentence. Okay. Make sure that you write out your sentence. Anything else, Hals?
No, I think this was an amazing workshop. There were so many aha moments and how all of these leaks, they tie to so many other places in your processes,
Mhm.
in your business processes when you set them up. It's even pricing. Like I can't wait till we get the pricing one. So
Yeah.
next week is how come your projects keep expanding without permission from you or like more money, like they just keep going and going, going, but you're not making any more money. So
Yes.
talk
Um,
specifically about the projects next week.
and if you guys have questions that are off topic, okay, that we didn't answer today, of the Interior Designers Business Launchpad, hop in there and you can tag Hallie. Okay. You can tag me. And we are happy to give you guys some insight and some assistance there. And again, I invite you to the Key Ingredients Live where we're going to work together. I'm going to be your instructor and we will do the homework together. So thanks so much for being here. Pricing workshop, fabulous. Yes, be there. And we will also be doing pricing the fourth week
Leaks.
of this month.
Yeah, pricing leaks that we're doing on the fourth week of this month is similar to this training. We're just talking about where the leaks are. There's
Mm-hmm.
a full 3 hour long intense pricing workshop that is a paid workshop. There's an early bird fee on it now. It's only $39 for the 3 hours, and you get replays and a full workshop workbook. That is on the 20th. So
Your kitty cat.
I know she jumps up here, and gosh, does she scare the crap out of me? I will put if you stay on real quick, I will pop the link in for the pricing workshop in just a second.
Fantastic. Well, thanks you guys for being here. And I'm seeing lots of faces. So thank you for being on camera and thank you for your participation. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And thank you, Hallie, even for the crap music.
The